Good morning to you. We are leaving Blythe, California today and heading to Joshua Tree National Park. We're going to be boondocking for a night or two in Joshua Tree. It's BLM land just outside of Joshua Tree, and we are going to discuss some of our top tips and tricks for boondocking for some of you newbies that are just getting into this. A lot of you veterans already know a lot of this stuff, so if you want to, put some comments down below and add to what we've got if you have anything useful that we haven't covered. Let's get to it. We made it to the BLM land where we're going to be staying a couple of nights just south of Joshua Tree National Park. Once we arrive at our site, we try to get leveled as much as possible if necessary. Today, the land's pretty flat where we parked, so there was no need to pull out the leveling blocks and do any leveling. It's close enough, especially for a couple of days. We're not going to bother with it. Then we also switch our power over to solar power so that we can use the sun's energy in our inverter. And we have a large enough solar panel system and battery bank to allow us to pretty much do whatever we need to do besides run the air conditioner or microwave while we have sunlight. And then at night we have to rely on the battery bank to provide our power, so we have to really pay attention at night to make sure that we're not overusing so that we can last until the morning. Our fridge runs off of propane, but it requires a little bit of battery power to keep it running as well. And then any lights or things like that, water pump, have to run off a 12 volt. But overnight you're usually sleeping most of the night, so you're not using a whole lot of power anyways. But during the day we have plenty of power as long as the sun's out. Another thing to keep in mind when boondocking, especially on these BLM lands in the desert where there's lots of dust and dirt roads, you can see that there's the road, the main road coming in right behind us here. And we are parked on the north side of the road, and that's because of the wind direction. We always try to see where the wind direction is going to be, and it's very important because some of these people drive through here really fast and kick up a lot of dust, either with their vehicles or ATVs. So we're parked on the north side of the road, and the wind's kind of coming from the northeast today and tomorrow. So when the people drive by, the dirt's actually going to blow away from us rather than all over our rig or inside if we have the windows open. So that's something very important to keep in mind if you can.
My main recommendation for anyone that wants to boondock is just get yourself a pomicle. Because we haven't had any issues since we left Texas. We've had power, we've had food, we haven't had, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues. And we were actually talking about earlier that we haven't had any issues, and it's either because he knows, we know what we're doing, or we have been extremely lucky. But other than that, I know that he knows how to turn on the generator, solar power, all that stuff. But in all reality, I probably need to learn all that stuff eventually, or soon. Maybe we'll do a series Tuesday. Yes, he learns RV life, you know. Oh God. Dumping. No. Not me.
So our location is close to Highway 10. You can see Highway 10 right behind us here. But it's far enough away that you can't really hear the road noise, and the wind's kind of blowing out of the north, so that makes it really nice that we're upwind of the highway. One of our biggest tips for boondocking is we always scout our locations using several methods before we go. We'll use Google Earth, Google Maps, all stays, and public lands as well. That way we can look up the term limits that you can stay, as well as where the actual public lands are located to make sure we're in the right spot. Another thing we always do is to make sure that our black and gray tanks are completely empty, and that we have a full tank of fresh water as well as a full tank of propane before we arrive at our boondocking location. Since we're only staying a couple of days at this one, it's not as critical, but if we were trying to maximize our stay, it's very important to have everything empty and full as needed. Another important tip for direction purposes is the solar panels. and the direction of the sun. We try to park to maximize the sunlight on the panels depending on which way the sun is, and if it's summertime or wintertime. In the winter, the sun is actually lower in the horizon towards the south if you're in the northern hemisphere, and in the summertime it's more directly above. So we try to keep in mind our direction of our RV in relation to east and west and north and south for the sun, and then like we said earlier, the direction of the wind, we try to keep that in mind for the dirt purposes. We also have a generator in case we need it, if we have to run the microwave or if we need to run the air conditioner if it's too hot. Today the high was 70, and tomorrow I think the high is only 60, so we shouldn't need the air conditioner at all. But we try not to use the generator at all unless it's really, really necessary, because it makes a lot of noise, wastes gas, and if we don't have to use it, then that's even better. But we might need a heater, and that brings up a different point. If it gets cold out at night when we're boondocking, we use our Wave 6 Catalytic Heater, and it runs off of propane. It's really convenient and it's really efficient on propane. It doesn't use any electricity, keeps us nice and warm, and it's safe to use inside the RV. They suggest keeping at least 1 or 2 windows cracked to a certain amount to make sure you don't get carbon monoxide poisoning. But as long as you follow that, you're good to go. We've used it a lot and never had a problem. We also have a CO2 monitor to make sure that we don't get any CO2, and in case there is a buildup, it'll let us know. Like I said earlier, we're only staying a couple of days this time for boondocking before we move on to our next location, so it's not as critical that we be sure to conserve water and energy in the tanks as much. But if we're trying to extend our stay to be a week or 2 weeks at a time, we really have to conserve and watch how much water you use to wash dishes, take showers, as well as when you use that water, it fills up your tanks. Black tank is not so much a problem. You're probably never going to fill that thing up for the time you're going to be out boondocking, but the gray tank does fill up pretty quickly, especially if you take long showers or stuff like that. So we try to take military showers and limit our water usage, so we'll turn the water on, rinse off, lather up, then rinse off again instead of just leaving the water running. Plus we have a low flow aerator on our shower faucet, so it helps reduce the water usage there as well. And then like I said, you have to minimize your power usage to keep in mind your battery bank. If you have a larger battery bank, it's okay, you can use a lot more, but if you have a smaller bank, you're gonna have to minimize that in order to not run out overnight. So hopefully some of these tips that we shared from what we've learned from our experience of boondocking will help you. And if you have any questions about boondocking or anything that I didn't cover, leave them in the comments below and we'll address them in the comments or another video for you. Also, if you're a veteran boondocker and you have some more advice to share, please feel free to drop it in the comments below as well. We can all learn from it. We might even learn something, and somebody else watching this video might learn as well. So have a good day, and we will talk to you next time. Bye for now.